According to the New Scientist magazine, 7 out of 10 people hold on to something that they are convinced is true when it is not. Many others know that they must avoid telling the truth, because to tell the truth may do great harm. We live in a world that demands the truth, but we know the truth can be something we don't really want to know. We build the truth into our systems as a basic essential, but in reality, the truth can be irrelevant. We don't want to know the truth. Yet we know that the truth we believe is the truth is not really the truth. So there is the confusion. We go to the doctor. He relies on his learning, his science, his past experience, his judgment, and his feelings. And we say we like him or her. He has a good manner. Yes, she does. And we trust him. So what he says, we accept the truth. But our auntie, he said would last for just 3 months. In fact, lasted for 13 years. So where is the truth? Truth is difficult for all of us. Turn on the television news any evening and you almost fear what you're going to see and hear. Open your newspapers the next morning and there you are, almost mesmerized by the horrific headlines as we pore over the pathos of the pictures of destructiveness. We realize that people of different parts of the world, different race, different religion, are committed to an ideology they believe to be true, just as we believe our ideology is true. And put those two together and we start killing each other. We realize people of high education and people of low education are committed to a view of the world that is aggressive, that is accusatory, that is dogmatic, that is destructive. And lives are lost, and more will be lost because of our beliefs. We realize that we are more than ever being told what we need to do. You need to believe this. This is what has to be done. And there's a readiness to understand and accept it, rather than to seek, well, is there a different way? We belong to a faith, the Christian faith, where one man pointed to a different way. He said, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And just as people back then said of him, so we retort ourselves. Are we not free? We speak as if we are free. What do you mean, they asked, that you speak to us as if we are not free? But we're not free. For generations, we have been enslaved to certain ideas, to certain beliefs, to certain ways of living together. That's how it is. We believe them to be true. But gradually, sometimes suddenly, we discover that what we believed to be true back there, what our parents believed to be true, is not what we will accept as truth. Long before our time, our forefathers were committed to a certain view of the world. That was true. Where was the sun in relation to the earth? What was the earth doing? Was it round or was it flat? And so on. As communities and people around the world, we have lived in ways that were dangerous to our health, destructive to our societies. Research studies in science showed our views, even though we thought they were true, even though we thought this is what the Bible taught, were wrong. We needed to be set free. So it was in everyday human behavior. We held on to one level of understanding human behavior, what we could see. That's what it was. We knew nothing of unconscious influences on our health and behavior. Not until the 20th century, in fact, did a man called Sigmund Freud walk onto the scene and speak to us about the unconscious mind and how it affects our behavior. He and then others spoke not only of the power of the mind, but the power of emotions, the power of our relationships with people and with the animal world or with the natural world. Thinking we had a full claim on the truth, we went about killing each other in millions. We went on dying unnecessary deaths too early because we believed certain ways of living was the true way, when science came along and told us a different truth. But then again, what is the truth? One person says, if I told the truth, if I told you what I knew, a lot of people would be very upset. A doctor said, it's not right to tell the whole truth. A school teacher said to her students, whatever you know, I don't want to know. Don't tell me. Politicians, as you've heard, shouting at each other, this is the truth. This is a lie. And so royal commissions are set up to find out the truth. But then on occasion we are told that even the judge presiding at the royal commission is so prejudiced that we don't know what the truth really is. Any wonder that centuries ago a man called Pontius Pilate, holding court with a man's life in the balance, said, what is truth? What is truth? Sometimes we know from our own experience that what we are led to believe was the truth and that people could be trusted. It was not the truth and people could not be trusted. Who can you trust? From marital bedrooms to schoolrooms to the highest courts to the courts of international justice. Who can be trusted? So when we're told this is the truth, we look again from popes to the priests, from parents to the children, from football tribunals to the tourist at the airport suspected of being a drug carrier. Who's telling the truth? How do we find out the truth? Notice the basis upon which we make our judgment. You see, I listen to a radio program in which there's often a segment of a book review and the author speaks. Now, I've come to know that that particular program is for me not a reliable program, because if I were to buy the book that they commend, I usually find that's not the book I want to read. So I can't trust their judgment. And I have to be, but upon what basis do I make that? Other people think their judgment is right. So knowledge, experience, and prejudice. But more, how often would you say, I just feel he's not telling the truth. I've got to have that feeling that the truth is being spoken. So we find ourselves in conflict. involved in conflict. Someone is not telling the truth. Someone does not know what the truth is, but acts as if they do. Some won't tell the truth because it will upset a lot of people. And so it goes on. The truth gets lost because the other person has stopped listening. I don't want to hear it. So one has a belief as to what the truth might be. Another one feels that it is or is not the truth. Yet another does not like the person telling the story. So on the basis of that personal relationship or non-relationship, we decide what is the truth and what is relevant and irrelevant. And Polonius says to Laertes in Shakespeare's Hamlet, "This above all to your own self be true, and it will follow that thou canst not be false to any man." But along comes Sigmund Freud and hundreds of psychologists after him, and they say, how can you know what is the true self? For the true self is more than just what you see and what you hear. What is going on in the unconscious? What is going on in the background of the relationships? What is going on in the background of experience? And so many give up and say, well, I can't be bothered. They say to know the truth, we know the truth. That's the end of it. Enough is enough. Others say it's too difficult to know the truth. So the truth goes out the door. And we listen to other people saying, we end up saying, oh, well, whatever Billy says, that's good enough for me. If Billy says it, I'll rely on that. I think we might explore something better than that. So I put before you a few possibilities. To recognize, yes, we live a life of conflict and doubt. Some say we must follow our conscience. But conscience has shown itself to be a very unreliable guide to the truth. Because so often we can cushion our conscience. Or we can somehow deceive our conscience. Make peace with our conscience. We search to live the best truth. Somehow the best truth that will enlarge our own life and not hurt other people. But that's extraordinarily difficult. We can easily find fault with that position. And so I need to say, be careful in your advocacy of the truth, as it may not be the truth, and often is not the whole truth at all. The truth, for one, may be unacceptable to the other, and vice versa. So we stand apart and ask what kind of relationship will be possible under those circumstances. So the wise words from the prophet that I read to you, Gibran the prophet, at another part he says, let there be spaces in your togetherness. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. But let your best be for your friend. And in the sweetness of friendship, let there be laughter and sharing of pleasures. So what we think is the truth may not be the truth. So we study the piece of art and we say, what is the artist trying to say? We read the poem. What is the poet trying to say? We have layers unfolding before us. We draw back the curtains and we say, oh, I didn't realize that was there. So sometimes the truth is so difficult. Sometimes it is too painful. So we find ways to avoid it altogether. Many know that the truth is both distressing and difficult to manage, but it can be a great therapeutic release if we can manage it properly. Some people will never know the truth of things. Why did this person do that? What made them choose that career? What made them choose that partner? What made them take that way of life? What made them make that decision? And we get tangled in this troubled dead ends that we reach. So we get blocked in our thinking. We think we possess the truth when we don't know what the truth is. Perhaps we're being possessed by something quite different from the truth altogether. So we know that Shakespeare's Hamlet and Macbeth and his Macbeth and Othello were not really true. They're stories, but they're true to life. They tell us some truth about ourselves. And we know that what we did yesterday is not the truth for today. And yet the past event was the truth. And what we feel about it now is different from what it was then. So what is truth, you see? Is the truth of the event of yesterday more relevant than the truth of the feelings we have about it today? So that the event is one thing, and the feelings that we've loaded on it after it's happened is quite another thing. So the truth may be more in the aftermath than in the actual moment of the event. In fact, the truth of the actual event of yesterday may be irrelevant to the truth of the feelings we're having about it today. So, to be alert to the truth, we need to be ready for the distinction of what has to be made between what is relevant now and what was relevant back there and then. So in the circle of faith, we say Jesus was pointing to something. What was he pointing to? The pointing finger. What was it pointing to? So in order to work our way through this conundrum of what is the truth, we see him pointing to the possibility of a better way, an alternative. Sometimes we're no longer looking. We've closed ourselves off. I know what I have to do. I know what is the truth, and there is no alternative. So kids are expelled from school. Some would say, that will teach them a lesson. What is the lesson that they learnt from that? When it could have been so easy to find a different solution, an alternative. Where was the pointing finger? What might happen to those kids when we stop thinking of them back there and we start thinking of them in the future? We are now holding up one view of what is right, one view of what is wrong. But then is there another way? Is the truth open to negotiation? What is truth? He asked. I wish he'd joined the conversation. Pontius Pilate, why didn't he go on? He didn't. He just said, what is truth? And often, as we do, he walked away. Truth is a conversation. We can't walk away. Truth is the dialogue of your view and mine. Truth can fan out to become something much bigger than our dogmatic decision. Truth can fan out to become the dialogue of tolerance and intelligence and growth. What is truth? Truth is getting beyond the ready tendencies of anger and hate and finding a different way. The pointing finger, pointing to a different way. We will rarely know the whole truth in so many things, but we go on searching. We go on with the discussion. We go on with the conversation, searching for a glimmer of the truth, creating and shaping various strands of the truth, being open to the flow of filaments of the truth. And we stay alert to the fringes of the truth, and that finger that points us to the way we live our life, and the enjoyment as we join with others. Together, we see great value in discovering what the truth is. So in spite of the blemishes, in spite of the bad behavior, in spite of all the negativities, even so, we are reaching out to a life that will be worthwhile, the pointing finger, full of grace and truth. How do we live? A life that's searching for that life full of grace and truth. Would you please stand? Say with me, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And the blessing. May the God you see in all the colours of creation arouse in you a sense of awe and wonder. May the God who is a sacred presence be real to you. May the God who is a source of courage and inspiration keep calling you forwards. May your God go with you and bless you today and always.